evening, everyone! Welcome back once again to Vicious Rants! And of course, I'm your host, your YouTube Messiah, often imitated, never duplicated superstar, Tim Vicious. And we are talking about Raw this week. Was in Chicago, Illinois. You know, not necessarily the biggest fan of Chicago anymore, ever, you know. It's more, honestly, they always tend to act like assholes and wind up chanting for Punk. Which then leads to the inevitable, fuck you Chicago, he walked out on all of us, not on you, and that type shit, and then it starts a huge debate, blah 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 blah, and yeah. So before that, big things, highlight on Super Showdown Saturday, Melbourne, Australia. Really good. It was a good show, you know, I mean, honestly, the big match, or shouldn't say the big matches, but the big highlights had to be seeing Twitter blow up over John Cena's hair and his sixth move of doom, which is just a straight punch, and seeing people, oh my god, oh, it's such a shitty move, oh, it's horrible, oh, why would anyone sell that? But it's funny because those same people that complain about that have absolutely no problem and fully applaud and laugh hysterically and really get into it and believe when Joey Ryan does a dick flip on someone. I'm just saying, talk about double standards, you know. But that Buddy Murphy won the Cruiserweight Championship at Melbourne, Australia, so now he is the first Australian to ever hold a WWE tag title as well as a singles title. Congratulations to him, as well as the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billy Kay, also known as the reason on why I need heart medication. Whew. Oh damn. Then he wound up beating Asuka and Naomi. They wound up Naomi took the pin, so yeah. And then came the match between Taker and Triple H, and I have been a fan of both of those two my entire life, and you know, honestly, and I'm not saying this in a bitter, snarky way, but I've seen them two pull off better matches. And it's, yeah, they wound up throwing it no DQ right at the beginning. You know, they announced it, you know, and more so because, well, they needed a reason to justify Shawn getting involved in the match, and Shawn and Kane getting involved in the match. Plus, Undertaker is very limited in his move set. He could throw a few punches, he could throw a big boot, he could do the snake eyes, but that's about it, really. Other than the choke slam and a tombstone, that's all Taker can really do. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but yeah, Undertaker, he's getting up there in years. But Hunter wound up getting a win over Undertaker at Super Showdown. At the end, they all did the Code of Honor, raised each other's hands, and then Kane and Taker beat the piss out of Shawn and Hunter, which now, and then that ended the show, which now leads us into the beginning of Raw. Them two come out, and they cut a promo. Hunter's talking about respect, you know, respect, it's earned in this business. Yep. One of the top guys took somebody he didn't know under his wing and treated him good when nobody else would want to be around him. And that buddy wound up staying with him when he was at his worst. That's respect. Respect is when somebody says they're not going to come out, they're not going to go into a match out of respect for the other person. You know, basically going like that. Talking about on how, you know, they had respect for each other. And then at the end of the match at Super Showdown, when they beat the hell out of them, they lost all that respect. And then they said, and then they just point blank said, you wanted it, now we're coming for you. Kane, Taker, I hope you're ready. And then boom, they ripped off the shirts that they had, showed that they had their DX ones on. The band is back. I can't complain about having Shawn and Hunter back with DX because, you know, few notes on why. One, when I, at the ripe young age of 12, I was doing literally all of the same kind of shit that they were doing on Monday nights. Two, I absolutely fucking loved it when they were doing their, when they came back the second time around, when it was them two, you know, like feuding with Shane and Vince and the Spirit Squad and all. They were fucking ripping on themselves. There were guys in their 30s and 40s trying to act like they were still in their 20s again. That was where the fucking humor in that was more than anything. That's why I fucking loved that. You know, and they were just being ridiculous. They were being ridiculous and over the top with the shit. And it hit a funny bone on me. That's why I loved it. You know? And more than anything, yeah, you look at them two. Them two still look like the... Shawn and Hunter, honest to God, look like the two guys that, God forbid, their little... You hear their little girl say, "That broke my heart." Those two are going to be the ones that are going to have to deal with... Those two would be the guys that would deal with that little motherfucker. Now so at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, we're gonna get DX going against the Brothers of Destruction, and honestly, so too early to say on who would win at this moment. You know, still a couple weeks out from it. You know, so let the time build, let the promo wars set and such. So with that said, now we get our first match. Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, and this was a decent match, but honestly, the biggest takeaway from the match was the entire time during the match, Lio Rush had a mic, and he just kept going on and on, like that AW guy when, you know, talking about on how be as unstoppable as Kobe Bryant in a bedroom, baby. You know, talking about that. And he was just going on, and the way he just kept egging the crowd, Lashley, Lashley, Lashley. And then the crowd would start to chant it, and then right after that they'd do, "Fight Owens, fight! Fight Owens, fight! Fight Owens, fight!" You know, it was decent. It was decent in that way, you know? And probably one of the cooler things was right out of nowhere, Kevin Owens, boom, hit Bobby Lashley, boom, with a stunner. Stone Cold Stunner right out of nowhere. Just, oh, okay, damn. Okay, throw a stunner into your move list. God damn. But yeah, match wound up coming to an end. Lashley wound up getting Owens, basically hit him with the AK. You know, so afterwards as they're walking, as Bobby and Leo are walking up, then they turn back around. And Bobby Lashley proceeds to start beating the shit out of Owens. And the crowd was into it, like, oh, and all that shit. You know, it was beautiful in that sense. Because, you know, right when it happened, gears started turning. Well, what if they had Leo doing all that to get the crowd ready to start booing them, and then after the match be like, you know what, they want to boo us? Motherfucker, I'm going to give them a reason to boo me. There you go. Set. So next matchup we got a rematch from we got a rematch from Super Showdown. Ronda and the Bellas going against the Riott Squad. This right off bat starts out with Liv Morgan and Brie just doing a straight up cat fight. Liv being, you know, living up to her quote unquote name of being the problem child or whatever, I don't know. You know, teasing and messing with Nikki. She got Nikki or Brie, whichever one of them, the one that fucking does the Daniel Bryan kicks. got her knocked down just as she was getting ready to go for it. Next thing Liv was like, motherfucker! And just started going at her, something fierce where everyone pulled each other apart. And then they proceeded to go back into the match. So it was like, god damn, we got a legit cat fight right before the start of the match. Right at the start of the match. I like it. Anyways, as far as the match went, it was pretty much just like it was at Super Showdown. Bree, she was for the most part the team punching bag. Ronda got the hot tag in, cleaned house. Match wound up coming to an end, very much so in the same way like I said before with Ronda. You know, she does like shades of Hulk Hogan. She hulks up and then locked in an armbar on Ruby Riott. Ruby tapped out. And yeah, one thing I gotta say about Ronda, more than anything, she really needs to work on her facial expressions, because her mad face looks more so like she's holding in a poop. She's trying to push out a poop for that's 3 days. That's been sitting in there for 3 days. You know? But after the match, you know, the Bellas, they did yay, and then boom, they beat the shit out of her, which just scratching the head thinking, you got all these officials out there yelling at them, yelling at Nikki and Brie to stop, 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 but none of them are willing to go and, like, you know, be like, hey, no, boom, and, you know, separate them. So yeah, which then led to later that night, they officially say that Nikki is now going to get a match against Ronda at Evolution. People are saying, some folks were speculating on the Twitter that, you know, the only reason Nikki's getting this match now is because, you know, of she used to be with Cena and they need something to talk about for the Divas reality show, whatever the hell, and honestly, nah. That is the lead. That's the one match that I can care less about that match, to be honest. I'm more so looking forward to seeing Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler go at it again. But to each their own, I suppose. If you want to go and argue over what match, you know, should and all that jazz, you know. So next up, we get a mixed match challenge rematch of Bayley and Finn going against Jinder and Alicia, and it was actually, it's kind of funny because the night Mixed Match Challenge came out, that episode of Mixed Match came out, somebody wound up putting up this video when Finn came out with Bayley doing the balloon thing, you know, saying, oh, Balor's being so wasted doing this stuff. I just simply said to the guy point blank, just imagine being such a bitter, jaded fan that you don't bother to take the time to realize that Finn is legitimately enjoying his job. And I will respect the fact you have your opinion on it. Okay, that's all well and good. I got my view on it too. However, if you want to think he's being wasted, let me ask you this. You want to go and say, oh, he's being wasted in WWE right now. Fuck that. Okay, let me ask you this. Let's just say, for example, you're at your dream job, whatever it is. Wrestling, making movies, playing video games, being a professional pimp, whatever the hell. You know, you're at your dream job. You're absolutely loving every single second of it. But people that, you know, colleagues come up, you know, colleagues, not work ones, mind you, but colleagues outside of your work consistently go and say, oh, they're being so wasted at this job. You know, they would be so much better off working at such and such instead. They shouldn't be there. They're just wasting him. You know, would you bother to take that into consideration? Would you bother to want to listen to that, or would you wish to continue? Now, I made this argument a million times before. Comparing WWE to another wrestling promotion is like comparing Formula One racing to NASCAR. They are both forms of racing. However, they're both two completely different mediums. You know? We'll say, okay, Balor, New Japan. You want to compare WWE to New Japan, that's like comparing Formula 1 to NASCAR. One's just straightforward. One's an actual race that goes in a circle. You know? Just take that into consideration, you know? Aside from that, also, with the way things are nowadays, you don't need to have 1,000,000 titles. And you don't always need wins to be, you know, to have legitimate success. You know, for fuck's sake, I make jokes about this guy on a consistent fucking basis, but Kurt Hawkins is making a fucking living constantly losing. For crying out loud, the guy's got a... For crying out loud, the Cleveland fucking Browns have a better winning record than Kurt Hawkins. But how much you want to bet Hawkins is enjoying every minute that he's got doing what he's doing? Because of the fact, hey, I wanted to be a wrestler, and now I'm being a wrestler. Fucking stop for a minute and take a minute to appreciate the little things like that. Now with that said, now that I got done blowing up on that, let's get into the match. Bayley, Balor versus Jinder and Alicia. You know, it was a nice start with Jinder and Alicia, and Alicia, she was worked really good with Bayley, you know. It was nice action all around with everyone, you know, I gotta say that. I will credit that. It was, you know, wasn't really like more so one tag team was dominating over the other or nothing. It was good back and forth, and it was a nice, well-balanced back and forth. Match came to an end when Finn was in. He hit, you know, he got Jinder with the coup de grace, 1, 2, 3. That was it. So, yeah. So, next matchup we got, it's one thing that they promoted for, something that they promoted for Crown Jewel. They're going to have a World Cup tournament, you know, 4 of the best from Raw, 4 of the best from SmackDown, and they're going to compete to see who can win. Honestly, I think it would have been nicer if they would have included NXT, because then you get to say you got the 4 best from here, the 4 best from here, and then the 4 best, you got the 4 best from Monday Night Raw, the lead show, the show that's been around for forever, the best of SmackDown Live, where opportunity is always there and presents itself whenever available. And then you got the best of NXT, the future of the company. You know, something like that. Just think it would have been nicer if they would have included that. They could have built it in that kind of a manner. But either way. So Corbin saying that he's going to do a World Cup Battle Royal to determine who is going to be on Team Raw, because they already announced earlier John Cena is going to represent Raw, which honestly just seems like a joke at this point. And I'm not saying this in a negative way on John, but honest to God, it is so... Time did not age his promos and his feud with The Rock well at all, because you look back on everything he was cutting Rock down on, saying on how The Rock would say, he's home, he's here, he's always going to be here, he'll never leave. And then he leaves the next day to go and shoot some movie off on the other side of the U.S. John's pretty much doing the same thing at this point, and, you know, those promos did not age well. Just saying. Either way, so Cena's going to be 1 for Raw. Next up, they got Corbin brought out a whole bunch of jobbers, as well as Conquistador Uno. Haha. And then, which I have to say, that Conquistador, he had a very Olympic-like figure. But either way, Corbin proceeded to eliminate all of the guys that were in the Battle Royal, except for the Conquistador. He eliminated him, which then wound up, he lifted the mask, revealed it was Old Man Jenkins, and Corbin said, I would have got away with it if it wasn't for that meddling old man. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm confusing wrestling with Scooby-Doo again. It wound up, he lifted a mask and showed it was Kurt Angle. So, Kurt's back. He's going to be there for Raw. So, yeah. Next up, we got exhibition match, friendly competition match, as they hyped up on the commentary, saying, oh, well, it's just a battle between two friends, you know, Nia Jax versus Ember Moon. Amber, you know, playing to the speed game, which was very much so a nice thing to see, you know. Also, very smart thing to do considering opponent. I'm not saying that in a negative way about Nia, but you know, when you're going against a big motherfucker, you need to move quick and hit fast. And that's what Amber was doing. Majority of the match wound up proceeding to end or not majority, but the ending of the match, if you will, proceeded outside near the ramp. Them two started brawling, and then it ended with Amber barely getting in at the very end for a count-out win. So yeah, next up after that we got a tag match. Chad Gable, Bobby Roode going against the Ascension. Connor cut a promo talking about on how he wiped the floor with both of them individually the past 2 weeks. They're going to do it again this week. And this time it's not just going to be him, it's going to be both of them. And yeah. So, not going to lie, I was really impressed with this match. The Ascension, they were leading this match for the most part, and you know, it reminded me on how good of a tag team they were. And that's what I love, you know. If it's a tag team that I really like and that, you know, they start to kind of fizzle out a little, you know, and then boom, they blow back up. It's just like, whoa, shit, you know. It's like finding that toy that you haven't seen in like, you know, or basically if like you were a kid and you found the toy that you haven't seen for like a couple months or a year or so, and you're like, oh hey, I forgot I had this thing, you know. It basically the same thing. Now, the match wound up coming to an end. Roode got the hot tag, started cleaning house, sizing Victor up for a blockbuster. Gable tagged himself in, threw Victor into the corner, wound up hitting him wound up doing an Okada roll, and then wound up going for, or not an Okada roll, threw him into a corner, did a roll, and then deadlift German 1, 2, 3. That was it for him. So yeah. And then after that, excuse me. After that, we wound up getting, well, before we get into the main event, one segment that did happen at one point during the show, Trish Stratus came out, in which case, whew, man, can we just take a moment to appreciate Trish for a minute? I mean, I know we've all done that at one point or another, but my God, now when you look at Trish, you could just officially say, that's a MILF. You know, for pushing 2 kids out, still, oh, okay, I'm going to stop now before I wind up saying something I'm going to regret, but she came out, started cutting a promo on Alexa about their match coming up at Evolution. Alexa then came out with Mickie James, which, whew, oh, God dog. Another one right there. They start all going back and forth with each other, and then Mickie winds up basically saying, why don't we make this match that you got coming up a tag match? She says, well, I suppose, but I'd have to find somebody who's a bit extreme to do this match. Cue the music, and then out comes Lita, which, you know, again. So, the match is going to be official now. It's Trish and Lita going against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. And yeah, this is probably going to be a big highlight match, more so because, you know, the nostalgia feel more than anything. And I think that's what's really going to sell it. So now we'll get to our main event. It's main event of the night. Rematch from Super Showdown. Shield going against Braun, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler. At Super Showdown, the Shield got the win. Dean Ambrose wound up hitting the dirty deeds on Ziggler, got the win in Australia. Now, before the match, Braun wound up ripping into Ziggler, saying, you know, basically cutting him down like as if he was the weak link. And telling him, you know, start carrying your weight for the most part. Now at the beginning of the match, Braun, McIntyre, and Drew, they were pretty much leading it. After the first break, Shield started picking up momentum. They were getting it. And, you know, again, seeing that, Braun ripping into Ziggler about that. Like, what's the matter with you? We ain't taking a loss again. You know, ripping into him like that, hard about it. And then, after that break, you know, then they got into another break, which then led to the heels again. And, you know, it was a nice way on how they broke that up, because it was broke up into, like, an actual story. You know, right there. And there was actual storytelling with the match, because you had the villainous bad guys dominating an onslaught at the beginning. The heroes making a triumphant return, fighting back only to get smashed down again, and then comes to the end when, you know, I don't remember which one of the Shield got the hot tag. I think it was either Roman or Dean, but they start clearing house, and it's just all around mayhem everywhere. And I know Dean was the legal man at the end, though, you know, and yeah, Dean winds up taking down Braun, getting Braun out of the ring. He gets back into the ring. Next thing you know, boom! McIntyre hits him with a Claymore kick. 1, 2, 3. That is it. So, and then it ends with Braun, Drew, and Dolph up at the apron. Seth and Roman. Seth tending to Roman in the ring, like, hey, you alright, man? You alright? And then Dean just on the outside, like, and then just walks away, and fade to black. End of sequence, fade to black. That was it. So, possibly, you know, they're hinting towards more than anything Dean breaking off. Honestly, I don't think they're gonna on how much they're playing on the possibility of it. You know, it just seems a little too obvious, like they're laying it a little too out there for it, but that's just me. So yeah, that's it for this week's show, folks. That's it for this week's show. So don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go back, watch some of the other episodes. Make sure y'all look for me on my Twitter at Tim Vicious. Make sure y'all also look for my other account, Tim_Vicious. Sometimes I get ghosted or I get put in Twitter jail. You know, I can't help that. It just happens. Also, don't forget to look for me on that Facebook gimmick, Tim Ash. If you're going to look for me on there from here or my Twitter at Tim Vicious, let me know on this or my Twitter so I don't think you got your Creek John going. You know? Also, folks, I don't have the list right here at this moment, but it is on the opening screen. So when you go and look at this, make sure you follow all those cool-ass cats right there on the Twitter. Axel Mulligan, Kenny Killer, my good brother, I am Danny Sunday. Also, make sure you all go out there and check out the music from my executive producer, Oliver Ben. Music's out there on iTunes, Spotify, and such. Details are down below. Talk to me. I'll hit Ollie up for you so you can get one of these sweet Ollie Rewind shirts. You know, Cranky Grandpa, my homeboy Jose Stone again, DSB_IV, as well as Dez, the MWP. And folks, like I always tell y'all, you love me great, you hate me. Fuck this. In this rap race by the elephant in charge.